Greetings, passionate about space exploration and curious about the cosmos. In a world flooded with information, we often come across erroneous data or myths that have been widely accepted. Today, on this exciting journey through space, we are going to immerse ourselves into the vast immensity of the universe to explore 10 misleading claims from space. Have you ever wondered if the moon is really made of cheese or if space is completely silent? Have you questioned whether astronauts can see stars from space? Accompanies us to unmask the myths of space. Let's start. Our sun is nothing like this. Rather, to this. If you've always believed that our star is a bright yellow fireball, you're wrong. First of all, the sun is not yellow but green, or something like that. Scientists calculate a star's temperature based on the color spectrum it emits. Each color has its own wavelength, and this is what astronomers measure to determine how hot a star is. The coldest ones look red, while the hottest ones look blue. Our sun emits its energy at a wavelength closer to green. But, as it simultaneously emits other wavelengths, all the colors combine and your eyes interpret that vibrant mixture as white. This would be if you observed the sun from the International Space Station. From here on Earth, the sun looks yellow because the atmosphere is quite effective at scattering blue light. Without the blue wavelengths, the remaining colors produce yellow. If our star were actually yellow, it would be about 800 degrees Celsius cooler. The habitable zone would be narrower and the Earth would become a cold dead rock. And this isn't the only thing you've been lied to about space. The sun is hot, but it does not catch fire. Fire is a chemical reaction between oxygen and a fuel. Like most stars in the universe, our sun is a giant ball of gas, primarily made of hydrogen and helium. It has almost no oxygen. Instead, it works more like a huge nuclear reactor, constantly fusing hydrogen atoms and creating helium in its core. This process releases enormous amounts of energy, which gives the sun its very high temperature. Speaking of setting things on fire, let me tell you about explosions in space. That's right, they are not real. A spaceship cannot expel a violent flare because there is no air in the vacuum of space. Or rather, there is no oxygen. Which means, as you know, there is no fire. Star Wars fans, I'm so sorry. It may seem like there are too many stars in the night sky to count. But actually, you could do it. However, Harvard scientists got ahead of themselves. According to the Yale Bright Star Catalog, there are 9,110 stars observable with the naked eye from Earth. Now, try to count them yourself. The movies have led us to believe that only an extremely skilled pilot can cross the asteroid belt. Which is not true. The ring is not some kind of lethal obstacle course. Although yes, it has trillions of space rocks ranging in size from space dust to a quarter the size of the moon. About 100,000 of these asteroids are more than 1 kilometer wide, but they are widely spread across space. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter has a diameter of 225 million kilometers. That is, 1.5 times the distance from the Earth to the Sun. Therefore, the rocks are millions of kilometers away from each other. It would be almost impossible for a spaceship to collide with one of them. If you were launched from the decompression chamber of a ship into the vastness of space, you wouldn't immediately turn into a popsicle. The reason is that in order to freeze, a temperature transfer between space and your body has to occur. But heat and cold don't travel very fast in the vacuum of space. Your body would freeze, but it would take hours to do so. When it happens, you will be dead for a long time for another reason. And no, you won't explode in space either. But you will bloat, because the nitrogen in your bloodstream will clump together, swelling you to twice your size. However, this is not what will kill you. Lack of oxygen will do it. After 15 seconds in space, your brain will not receive enough oxygen from the blood and you will lose consciousness. Within 2 minutes of floating in space, your organs will shut down one by one. See you around. Space seems extremely cold, but it is not. In reality, there is no such thing as temperature. Temperature is defined as the speed at which particles move and the amount of energy they carry. In the vacuum of space, there are no particles that can move. Therefore, space lacks temperature. Of course, outer space is not an absolute vacuum. It contains particles and radiation that produce heat, and certain areas of space are very hot, starting with those around stars. But the further you get from them, the more dispersed the particles will be, which makes those areas of space extremely icy. Some dense gas clouds can reach -263 degrees Celsius. Despite being the closest planet to the Sun, curiously it is not the hottest. Even so, it is still extreme. During the day, its surface temperature rises to 430 degrees Celsius, while at night it drops to -180 degrees Celsius. So, the most hellish planet in our solar system is Venus. What happens is that Mercury does not have an atmosphere that retains the heat it receives from the Sun, contrary to that of Venus, which is quite thick and produces a greenhouse effect. It's like our global warming, but enhanced, turning Venus into an unbearable hell with surface temperatures around 475 degrees Celsius. Our entire solar system does not remain still in one place in the galaxy. It is flying through space at 220 kilometers per second. That is, 7 times the speed with which the Earth rotates around the Sun. It takes the solar system 230 million years to completely orbit the Milky Way. The last time we passed by where we are now, Earth had a single supercontinent and dinosaurs were just starting to roam around. The planets do not orbit the Sun. Everything that makes up our solar system is in balance. And although the Sun is the most massive object in our planetary neighborhood, there are other planets that participate in this gravitational tug-of-war. Instead of orbiting the Sun, planets and moons revolve around a central point between them and our star. Such a point is known as the barycenter. In the case of the Earth, its barycenter is so close to the core of the Sun and it doesn't make much difference. But for Jupiter, that point is about 55,000 kilometers from the center of the Sun. This means that the gas giant and the Sun are orbiting each other. From outer space, the Earth looks round, although it is actually an irregularly shaped ellipsoid. It swells at the equator due to the centrifugal force caused by the planet's rotation. As a result, the Earth is about 43 kilometers wider at the equator than at the poles. This makes the gravity slightly lower in the swollen part, facilitating the launch of space rockets from equatorial regions instead of near the poles. In space, no one will be able to hear you scream. This is true, but to a certain extent. Sound requires a medium to travel. But in space the molecules are very far apart, so the sounds fade away before they go very far. All the cosmic catastrophes, supernovas and black holes crashing into each other fall silent before you can hear them. However, there are places in space with enough particles to carry sound, such as the cloud of hot gas around the black hole at the center of the Perseus galaxy cluster. The accumulation of gas is such that you can actually hear the black hole. Of course, other planets make noise too. If you could hear them, do you know what they would sound like? Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey through the universe and its amazing complexity. If you like this content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.